Hello and welcome to another Build With Me video. This video is going to be a relatively quick build as part of a competition or something like that for a build for a Discord channel that I'm a member of called Tabletop Crafters United. Tabletop Crafters United. Now the challenge is to build something in a 4" by 4" by 4" cube, something that fits in with that, which is quite an interesting challenge. And because I'm so busy, but I did really want to enter, I decided that what I would do is take this opportunity to make the shed that is going to be an optional extra on the field build that I did and finished a couple of weeks ago. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scratch build a shed entirely from wood using as close to real techniques as I possibly can, and then dress it up and make it look really nice and see how well I can get that looking by the end of February. So I'll stop rambling on again now and I will get started on designing and working on this build. I hope that you enjoy this and maybe you can build along and learn a few things from this video while you're watching it. Here is the field that I made, and what I'm now going to be doing is building a shed to go in this area here. I'm going to do it so that it's completely standalone and so that it can just be put in and taken off when I want it. And I'm going to make it out of wood and then stain it and try to make it look really, really shiny. I'm going to put a lot of effort into this, I think, but it's going to be a quick build. So this is the area that I've got, which is quite small, as you can see. It is about, let me just do an rough, yeah, about 10 centimeters long by about 5 or 6 centimeters deep. So it's going to be a relatively small shed. I'm going to put it on stilts so that it will sit slightly above the ground. It's going to have a little porch on it on one end, and then it'll have the shed here, and I'll have some other dressings around it so that it's clearly a shed. What I'm going to do is, now that I've shown you where the shed's going to sit, I'm going to get a pad and paper and do a slight sketch of what I wanted to look at, and then I'm going to start cutting up bits of wood and sticking it together. So I will bring you along for that ride. The design that I've come up with, which I'm going to build, is as you see on this little scratch pad in front of you. So this is the floor plan. There's going to be a little bit of a porch here, and this is where the building actually is going to be, the actual shed. From the side, you can see that it's lifted about 10 mil off the ground, and that's going to be a brick base which will go all the way around the edge. And I'm going to make use of my rollers for that. There'll be a step here which is going to be about 20 mil deep so that a miniature can sit on it, and about 5 mil high, so it'll be halfway to the top, and that will also be made of bricks. And then on top, the shed will be taller at the front end than it is, taller at this side here, this end, than it is at this end, so it will slope down back towards that side. However, the back wall will still be tall enough for a miniature to fit in where the door is. I haven't yet decided where the windows are going to go, but that's the rough layout. So what I'm going to need to do now is get my bricks made up and put the base together, and then I can start actually building the shed. For various very excellent reasons, I've done absolutely nothing on this for ages. Those reasons being family. However, now I'm ready to try to get this finished. I have a very short amount of time remaining to complete this project, and I'm going to see whether I can do it, because I don't like failing. What I've got here is my Proxon and some foam, and so I am going to trim that to about 1 centimetre to make the brick edges for the base of the shed. So get that turned on and push it through. There we are, as easy as that. The Proxon is amazing. So that's now done. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to very carefully trim off the texture. So I'll do that by putting this just a couple of millimeters away from the wire, like so, and then we'll push it through. Be very careful with your fingers. But you can see that that takes it off very nicely. and that is done. So here we have the block which is going to be turned into my brick base. Now we are going to get the correct dimensions for the bricks, cut them out and then glue them together. I think I might even do the carving before I do the gluing, but at least I'm going to need to break these sections up. So what I've got in front of me is the plan that I drew, which is the correct size that I want, and I'm going to actually just leave the end off because it's a bit squished, and grab my knife and cut these to the correct length. So first of all, I'm going to just cut that end off. There we are, that's better. So then we have a length that is going to be that long. And then we have another length that is going to be that long. And then we have another length that's going to be that long minus a bit. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. And we're going to have a second one that is going to be that length, and then minus a bit. But what we'll do is we'll cut this one to the minus a bit. So the minus a bit is the depth of the two walls, like so. And then we'll cut another bit that length, and that will be the right size for the base. What I will now do, off camera, because I've done this before, maybe I'll do one and I'll do the most of them off camera. What I'm now going to do, you can hear hammering in the background, my renovations continue, is I'm going to score in the bricks, like so. So I have my pen, which I have reinforced the end with masking tape, and to do that you just draw the lines. Once you've got the horizontal lines, you can do the vertical lines, like so. Vertical line, vertical line, vertical line. There we are. Done. So I'm going to go and do that for all the rest of these strips here, so these other three, and I will also probably do both sides, even though both sides won't be showing, but it's still nice to do, and I'll be back to show you how I'm going to glue them when that is done. That's all scored out, and now I'm going to glue it together. So what I'm going to do is use normal PVA and dressmaker's pins. I would often use cocktail sticks, that's what I was looking for, the word, but in this case I think that'll be a bit too intrusive and potentially cause damage. So what we'll do is as simple as this. We will put a bead of PVA down the sides of the middle bit. So like this, just a little blob of PVA. PVA is such an awesome thing. I don't know what anyone in our hobby would do without PVA. So we'll put a little bit of PVA there. Then we will sit that up against there, hold it in place. Sorry, I was out of shot. We'll sit that up against there, hold it in place, and then we'll push one dressmaker's pin in through that gap, trying to go in straight so you don't have it popping out. And this is just to add a little bit of rigidity and a little bit of structural integrity. The PVA is what will do the sticking. These are here merely to support it. You could probably even pull them out once the PVA is dry, but I won't bother because we will be plastering to give strength. And that now has some rigidity and will now not fall apart as soon as you look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the rest of these, put pins in each of these, and then leave it to dry for a good couple of hours before I come back to the next step. That's now dried, and you can see that I've also put the step on. That's temporarily held in place with some pins, because actually it's too short for these pins, so they'll actually come through. One idea I could have, and I might just do it, is I can clip those pins off short and then push them through again so they don't project, and I might very well do that. But what I'm going to show you now is how I will be making this a little bit more hard wearing. I've put this onto a little stand so I have access, and here we have some normal tile grout, which is quite a nice light colour, as you can see. So we're going to put a little bit of that into my mixing. We're going to put a little dollop of PVA, not very much, but a dollop of PVA in. This is the magic ingredient. If you forget to put your PVA in, then you'll end up with really, really grainy, powdery, crumbly, not very secure, and it will just look rubbish. Ask me how I know it. It's because in one of my earliest videos I made that mistake. I knew to add PVA but forgot because I was filming, and yeah, it didn't work, but it was an interesting learning experience, and hopefully now you'll remember that you need to add PVA. Now once again we're going to be mixing the grout, and once again, as I always say, it's hydrophobic, so it's hard to mix, but as you keep at it and keep mixing, it will eventually start to mix, and it's a case of just keeping at it. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you the next step when I've finished mixing. There we are, that's mixed. Now, a chap called Gunther from the Real Terrain Hobbies Discord, and if you're not a member of that, why not? Go and check out his YouTube channel, he's amazing, and jump onto the Discord, it's full of awesome people. He suggested adding a small amount of sand to the mix with the grout, which will break up the surface tension as well. Now, I will try that in another video, but for this one I didn't want to have any more of the texture that I'm going to get already, and so I haven't done that, but it's a good idea and I will give it a go. I think I've done it before, can't remember, I've made a lot of stuff and I can't remember whether it works or not, so we'll give it a try on camera for a future build. So what I'm going to do now is simply paint that on. Now you might find that this takes a couple of coats, which is absolutely fine, but you're just getting your paintbrush, an old one you don't mind being a bit knackered, and you're painting it on. Now I am going to stop the camera and I am going to clip off those little pins, and then I'm going to come back when I've completed this. But the key here for this is to get it in all the cracks. And I am painting the inside because I'm going to do this a little bit modular, as I would like to do. I like to keep flexible. So yeah, I'm going to quickly sort that out, finish painting this, and then I'll be back with the next step. While the first coat of that dries, I'm now going to start work on the wooden frame. Now my idea is to make a frame that will sit down, if you can see at the back there, inside, and will then have the actual shed will actually sit on top, so that I can take the shed off and on this framework and it can be a little bit more flexible. So what I'm doing is I have this very nice 1 centimetre by half a centimetre pine, and I'm going to make the frame out of this. So I've measured up, that is the length that will go the lengthways, and then I will measure up, cut that twice, and then measure and join it together so that I've got a little frame which I can then build on top of. So I have a razor saw and I have that length, and I'm going to cut those and stick them together with PVA, and I'll be back when that is done and I'm starting work on the actual shed that will go on top. Second coat of the grout mix has gone onto the brick framework. The wooden framework is setting up over there with lots of clamps. Whee! And now it's time to chop up wood to be used for the base of the actual little porch area, and then also the bottom of the shed. So I've measured. I have my chop it, and I need 20 of these to go all the way along. So I'm going to cut them out and I'll be back with the next step. Yesterday evening I came in and started fiddling around with this without the camera turned on, and as you can see over there, the frame that I was making, it didn't work. I started playing with it, I thought I'd maybe be able to make it fit, and I broke it. So I went to bed because that was what I should have done without fiddling at it. What I decided to do is, while I might come back to that frame, I'm going to work at building the slats that go across in the technique you see down here on the bottom left. So without first making the frame, I'm going to make I'm going to put these, which are the length of the brickwork, and then at the back over there I've got the pile that will go all the way across. So I'll make all of the base, all of the wooden base, and then start to build up the actual shed around the outside. So I'm going to get stuck in with that using PVA, and I'll show what it looks like when I am done. Next up, I'm going to use quite a fine brush. I'm not going to dry brush it, and I'm going to paint the bricks with this nice dark red that I like, and I will leave the gaps so that it looks like mortar. So I'm going to get that done. I'm not going to do it on camera because I'm quite busy, and so I'll be doing it in very short bursts every now and then, but I'll be back when it is finished. That has painted up really nicely. I'm actually very, very pleased with how that's happened and how it looks. I think it looks like good old brick, and certainly when I've absolutely finished painting it and done my weathering on it, it will look amazing. So next up I'm going to be assembling the actual shed. Now the shed, as you can see here, this is the base and this is the front wall, and I've got here a little magnet kind of contraption that my parents bought me once, which will allow me to do a very good 90 degrees. I will rotate and zoom a little bit so you can see a little bit better what it is. There we are. So it's like a metal tray with some magnets that stick on it, and it's really, really cool for this kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is put a bead of PVA along the bottom of this and stick it in place, and then I'll do the same for the other wall, which is going to go at that end. I'll leave that to dry, and while I'm doing that I will measure and make the back wall, which will have a and the front wall, which will have a angle on it, and the front wall will also have the door. So we're getting pretty close to having the structure made. I've got one more day. I never leave things to the last minute. I never normally do, but I'm pushing through with this, and hopefully I will get it done. So I will show you what it looks like at the end of the next stage. A quick in progress. I've managed to grab a minute or two here and there through the day and make a little bit more progress. As you can see, the wooden frame now has the walls uprights on it, and I've got a cross piece going across the front and also across the back. It fits very nicely on the base, and I'm particularly pleased with how that's turned out. As you can see, it looks like bricks. I will obviously age it, but yeah, there's a really nice technique there that was worked just as well as I expected or hoped it would. What I'm doing at the moment is trying to cut the uprights that will go, so the front and the back, and I will be trying to do a door on this as well, which is going to stretch me, but hey, what's this about apart from trying to push yourself? I think I can achieve this by the end of tomorrow. What I need to have done today is I need all the woodwork to be done. I need to be staining it so it can dry overnight. If I can finish all of this woodwork and stain it tonight, then I think that tomorrow I can complete the build, which will be very brilliant and very exciting, and I'll be very pleased. So for now, I'm drying that. That's going to be left to dry, and I will come back to it in a couple of hours when it's definitely completely dry and I can do the next step. We're into the evening, and I have made a start, as I've left that to dry, like I said, I've made a start building the side walls, or rather the back walls. And what I thought I'd do, just quickly show you how I'm doing this. I've got this kind of third hand. I've no idea where I got it from. I think I might have bought it ages ago on eBay, but it's really useful. It's meaning that I'm able to hold this up and measure and cut without juggling. It's quite a delicate operation, this little building. It's not going to be very hard wearing, but I'm enjoying making it. So I thought I'd show you that off. Now what I'm going to do is just get stuck in, do all of that, and then do the front and try to build a doorway. And I'll be sure to update you on progress as I go through it. But yeah, onwards. On we push, and as you can see in the background, that shed is starting to really look quite good. It's taking shape quite well. What we've got is on top, I'm starting the roof. So I thought I'd introduce you or show you a little bit about how I'm going to do this. As you can see from that side, we do have a doorway, and I have a MDF door which I didn't use in another build, which I'm going to put in there. I'm going to glue that in there later when I'm ready to. It will sit in there very nicely indeed, as you can see. Needs glue in obviously, but yeah, the door does fit. So what I'm about to do is work on the roof. This is the slopey side, and I know how wide I want it to be because I've got the diagram which is on the paper over there. And what I'm going to be doing is, I'm not going to be using this specific sandpaper, but I'm going to cut it out of the card, and then I'm going to glue sandpaper on it, and then what I can do is I can paint it and then dry brush it, and it will look really nice. So I'm going to get on with that. I'm going to measure it and cut it using my knife that you see here, and then probably use contact spray because it will be better, I think, for gluing this. This stuff is a little bit waxy, so it's going to be a bit better to glue it with contact spray, and then I think that will be me reached the end of the day. I haven't quite finished where I wanted to get up to because I haven't stained the wood, but I don't want to touch that yet because I've only just finished gluing it. It's still wet and it is a bit delicate. As I say, it's not really a playable element, but it does look nice. But tomorrow morning, first thing, I can stain that, and then I hopefully should be able to get it finished by the end of tomorrow. So making really good progress today. It's the morning after, and I'm going to now stain this with wood stain. This is one of my best top tips that I'm most pleased with, that rather than struggling to find a paint colour or whatever, I use an official wood stain which we use around our house as well. Obviously coming from Bulgaria, that is in Bulgarian, but it basically is pine coloured wood stain. And I will paint that over the whole of this, leave it to dry, and then probably do another coat, and then it'll be a case of dressing the model up because we're pretty close. The roof has come out very nicely. I actually don't think I need to paint it at all. It's just a very thick sandpaper, as you can see. I will probably stain the back so that it looks a little bit more like wood, but for now I'm happy with that, and I'm going to put this lacquer on, this wood stain onto this model. So it is as simple as that, and what it'll do is it just adds a bit more detail, brings out some more of the texture. You can do it very thin coats so it dries very fast, and as I say, 2 coats should be enough to make this look like pine. And then I'll look at some weathering techniques. I think I keep saying that whenever I'm doing wood, and then like the colour that arrives, but this definitely needs to be weathered. So yeah, I'll get that all done and I'll be back when it is finished. We're now getting to the dressing part of this build, which I didn't think I'd have time for because I forgot that it was a leap year. So what I'm doing is I have these little kind of gardening implements, and they were bought initially for Rosie's hobbit hole, but they didn't really fit because they're man-sized, not hobbit-sized. And there's also this bucket of potatoes, which I probably could put on Rosie's hobbit hole, but whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to prime them now and then paint them and put them on to decorate the build. The build itself is looking very nice. Let me pick it up and show it you. So it isn't yet glued together, but the base is looking lovely, and then the actual shed, as you can see, has got the first stain on it, and then the roof comes on and off. I've got a little bit of work to do on the roof. You can see there's a gap through it. You can see through there. But I'm probably going to put a bit of a tarpaulin or something over that, or I might even try to trim it down to make it actually fit smooth, but we'll see. But I'm pretty happy with that at the moment. I'll tell you what I do to fix that up when I get to it, but for now it's time to prime. I've just been putting some old wood on the guiding implements, as you can see on the right. And what I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm not frog in my throat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use it to age the wood slightly as well. I'm also going to show you that I got a file out and I filed down the back and the front and the back there, but I haven't been able to do anything about this uneven misshapen area, but that's fine, it's an old shed, I'll work something out. But I'm just going to use some of this old wood paint from Vallejo, and I'm going to pick out some of these just to kind of apply it over in a random fashion to age the look of the shed. So I'm going to get that done and I'll bring it back when I'm finished. We're on to the final push with this now. I had forgotten it was a leap year, so today is the 29th, the final and last day I can do anything, and I'm pretty happy that I'm going to achieve what I need to. So what we've got here is I've painted up, say, some, let me just focus that properly. I've painted up some spuds. I'm going to need to lighten them apparently, according to Angela. So I'll put a little bit of a lighter colour, maybe pick some of them out. And I've also painted up the brush and the watering can and the fork and the spade. So they are going to be put probably inside and outside. I've glued the door on, nice green painted door, and I'm going to be putting a little rock here so that it looks like the rock has been left there to keep it open. But the first thing I'm going to do before I do any of that is I'm going to put some creepers and some vines going up this edge of this wall. So I'm going to do this with PVA and with little strands of coconut fibre. So I'm going to get myself set up, focus the camera in, and then you can see how I do that. Right then, let's get this done. So we have some PVA, and I'm just going to actually spread it all over. I'm not going to try to pick out where I want to have the runners to go. I also figured that it will seal and make the actual building a little more secure because the PVA will soak in the gaps between the slats and will then have a bit more of a seal there as well. It is more sturdy than I feared it would be, but still you wouldn't really want to tread on it. Well, obviously I think it might be gameable even, so we'll put some thin coat of PVA over there, and then just here on the edge of the shot I have a big box of offcuts of, basically this is the stuff that you use to line the inside of hanging baskets, and I'm going to cut off some strands of this and run them up there. The idea here is to make it look like dead ivy or something like that, so not to be too neat and tidy and what have you, and also I'm not really going to bother with flocking it. It's going to look like dead strands of ivy, as I say. So I'm not going to worry about trimming the top. I'll trim that when it's dry, but something a little like that. Let's get some more. Separate it out a bit. There we are. So that will do. I'll let that to dry and then I'll trim the edges. It is about 9 o'clock, 9:30 on the 29th, and I have just managed to complete this, and I'm very, very pleased with how it's come out. What you can see is that the brambles or whatever I've done up the sides have looked really nice. I've put a load of dirt and weathering on the wood. I've put a watering can and the pile of spuds and the brush there. Inside you can see on the back wall there is a fork and a spade hanging up, and inside there's also some more dirt and rubble and what have you. The bricks have been weathered using a gift that Angela got me, the life colour pigments. I will show you what that is. The life colour pigments, there we are. That's what I used to weather the bricks, and it's lovely. It's the first time I've ever used pigments, and you can see that it really does add a lot of depth and a lot of interest to that. So that's that done. I am now going to take some pictures and submit this to the competition, the challenge. It's not really a competition, the challenge on the Discord, and I will put those pictures up both on there to enter it and also at the end of this video and after this clip. So yeah, great stuff. Done.